to the side and back. My name is Tokiku Uzuru, also known as Toki, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Clair or Clair Senses. But before we get on to the actual topic of today's video, I do have to do the little quick disclaimer thing. If you want a longer-winded disclaimer, there you go. As I said in this video, I will be talking about the Clair Senses and signs that you have them. However, some of the signs might actually be symptoms of an underlying health condition that you should go ahead and get checked for first before you say that you have these Clair Senses. And now that we got through that, it's time to get into the actual video and talk about Clair Senses. Now the word Clair is actually Latin for the word clear, and I'm not sure if you can actually hear the distinct difference between both words. So for now, I will be saying Clair as in Clair Sense. And what these Clair Senses are heightened or more intuitive abilities using at least 4 of your 5 senses, which would be hearing, seeing, smelling, and feeling. But there's also another one that they added in here, which is knowing. Now we each have 1 or 2 dominant abilities or heightened senses, and there also may be people that are able to possess all of them and be able to use all of them. So the first one we're going to start with is actually clairvoyancy or clear seeing. And some of the signs that you might be clairvoyant or clear seeing would happen to be mental visions of possibilities, visual and vivid dreams, having a great sense of direction even though you might be new to a specific area, being sensitive to bright sunlight or certain room lighting. You have the ability to see how different experiences and actions fit together. Often notice how people, places, and even meals look before you focus on anything else. You receive signs that you witness with your physical eyes, repeating numbers, finding coins or objects, etc. And just overall, your eyes might be more sensitive to other things. Like maybe you're not able to wear contacts because your eyes are like super sensitive to anything that goes near them. Now the whole thing with clairvoyancy is that many people have drawn the conclusion that if you see visual hallucinations, you're clairvoyant. And that was the reason why I decided to go ahead and not put that in there in the list, but also to put this disclaimer at the beginning of the video and the previous disclaimer that I made in the previous video. Because although visual hallucinations could be a sign of clairvoyancy, it could also be a sign of some other more serious mental health issue. And now that we got all of that seriousness out, it's time to move on to the next one, which is clairsentience or clear feeling. Now some of the signs that you might be clairsentient would be highly sensitive and may have difficulty being in crowds and when other people stand too close to you. Kind of like empaths, where they can take on other people's emotions that are around them, but like turned it to 11. You can easily feel whether someone is trustworthy or not. And now that I've pointed this out, my mom is probably thinking, yeah, this fits you. You have a sensitivity to certain fabrics. Now again, this could actually be a different issue where certain textures just do not sit well with you and you will literally decide not to deal with it. People may have told you that you are too sensitive. This goes back to the whole empath but turn it to 11 thing. When meeting someone new, you first notice how you feel around the person, such as comfortable, amused, safe, etc. You feel the emotion and physical pain of others, whether that be depression, happiness, or literally physical pain, as in if someone gets stabbed, you can literally feel like you're getting stabbed. Much less serious example, anytime someone tells me about like something they saw in a movie, if it's like a grotesque type of thing, to me at least, I'll start to feel like weird and just like gross. And I'll start to get fidgety, like I don't want to be in this situation. It's honestly because I can feel what they're describing and I don't like it. Sometimes confuses others' feelings for your own. Empath. Turn it to 11. You end up drained when around certain or a lot of people. For example, you feel overwhelming rage as you pass a person on the street that is yelling into their phone. And no, it's not because you're angry at them for yelling when you're able to hear them and they're like 2 cars down. It's you can literally feel their anger seeping into your energy. Surprisingly, there's a difference. However, it's not easily explainable. So the next Clair on the list happens to be Clairaudience, or clear hearing. This is where I have to give the auditory hallucination disclaimer, in which that could actually be several different physical or mental health conditions that you should get checked out first before you claim to be clairaudient. Now, going on to the signs. Number 1, hear voices inside or outside of your mind, and you do not have a health condition where that is a symptom. When meeting someone new, you typically notice the sound of the person's voice, their tone, and their laugh first. It might be difficult for you to fall asleep if there's too much noise. And there's a difference between I'm too focused on the noise to actually be able to fall asleep, and the noise is literally keeping my brain from actually sleeping. You hear subtle messages that others do not seem to hear or claim that they don't hear. You may experience ringing in your ears out of the blue, and it's not an underlying health condition. Another sign that you might be clairaudient is that you can tell what a person is saying even if they're like clear across the room from you, and you shouldn't be able to hear what they're saying. It could also just be that they're very loud, or you're actually very good at reading lips. You're sensitive to noises and loud music. You could also just be very sensitive to loud sounds. Unpleasant sounds bother you. Any type of sound, oh my gosh, unpleasant sounds bother you. You may have or have had imaginary friends that you talked to, probably when you were younger. The next Clair I'll be talking about is clairalience, or clear smelling. And the signs that you might be clairalient are as follows. As followed? What? Strong perfumes or scents bother you and sometimes give you a headache. I apologize for anyone that had to deal with me when I first started to buy incense, because that was an absolute trip, and I know better now. Out of the blue, you smell the incense of a friend or a loved one. Associate certain smells with certain memories, people, and thoughts. You walk into a room and feel overpowered by a particular scent. And I feel like this is just everyone when they walk into Macy's. You can sometimes smell certain odors that seem out of context, and you don't know where they are coming from. You notice a particular scent when someone is angry, and another scent when one is calm, and yet another scent when one is happy. So basically, a specific scent, any specific mood that a person is going through has a particular scent. That could also just be something else, and I'll put the name of it right here, which is actually quite fascinating. But you also might want to get checked out for that first. And when first meeting someone, you typically first notice how they smell. Personally, I think that people who are not clairaudient will just notice if someone smells good or bad, or if they notice a smell at all. And the last Clair scent, which last time I checked was not an actual scent, but is still somehow on this list, is Claircognizant, aka clear knowing. Typically, this is the visual representation of what psychic abilities are. Just knowing stuff out of the blue. And the signs that you could be claircognizant are: you often know facts, both trivial and important, without having to read or hear anything. May have felt teased for being a know-it-all. You have the ability to fix electronic and mechanical items without referring to instruction booklets. You feel more comfortable in one-on-one situations involving a subject of interest to you. You just know when something is going to happen. You just get the thought of, this is going to happen. And then surprisingly, it does happen. You may be skeptical about angels and psychic abilities unless you've had a dramatic life-saving / changing experience that you can't explain away. And last but not least, when meeting someone new, the first thing you may notice is whether you find the person interesting. And that is all the information that I have on the Clair Senses. Now, the next video that I do on the Clair Senses would probably be either how I found out my dominant sense, or like stories of me testing out which clairsent that I had. However, this would be the end of the video, in which I will go ahead and go through the stereotypical YouTuber outro, where I, as a stereotypical YouTuber, would ask you to do the following. If you like the video or any of its content, or just me having to go through finding out more about myself as I am filming this video, you can go ahead and press the like button. And if you want to go ahead and see more, specifically on the Clair Senses, or in general on things paranormal, mysterious, magical, mystical, or anything that has to do with my specific nature-based spiritual path, otherwise known as witchcraft, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of when I post. If you have any type of questions, comments, concerns, or ideas for future videos that I can go ahead and do, you can put them all in the comment section below. And on that note, I have been Toki Uzuru, also known as Toki, and this is Toki saying Toki out.